I call to order the Etna Township Board of Trustees. This is our organizational meeting we do once a year here on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Burkholder?
Here.
Ms. McKee? Here.
Ms. McKee, would you please lead us in the invocation?
Please stand with me if you would. And bow your heads. Thank you. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
And I'd just like to ask a moment of silence for Sam Schaefer, who is an integral member of this community that we recently lost and one of our vendors too.
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Who would like to be the first to nominate for board president?
I would be the first to nominate Gary Burkholder for the board president.
I'll nominate myself, Mark Evans, for board president.
Gary? Who do you nominate?
We already had 2 nominations, so I have no nominations at this time.
Okay, Roz? I don't know how to do this. So.
Yeah, we'll just say the last name of the candidate that we vote for,
Okay.
of the nomination.
Gary?
Gary Burkholder.
Mark?
Evans.
Roz?
Gary Burkholder.
Nomination for board vice president?
I'll nominate Rosalind McKee.
I'll nominate myself, Mark Evans.
Mark?
Evans.
Gary?
McKee.
Ms. McKee?
Rosalind McKee.
Okay, I can take the gavel back now, please.
Enough.
I'm glad you took
Wait,
advantage.
I had to do a motion.
I'm glad you took advantage of that. You deserve it.
Right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Looking forward to another good year here in 2025. Are there any nominations for the West Licking Fire District Board Representative?
I would nominate Mr. Burkholder.
I'll nominate myself, Mr. Evans, who's been on there for a year.
I will nominate Rosalind McKee. And I will withdraw my name as the president and the current responsibilities I have. I think it needs to be another member of the board to serve in that capacity. Any other nominations? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Evans.
Mr. Burkholder?
McKee.
Ms. McKee?
McKee.
Wow.
Are there any nominations for the Morpsey Board Representative?
I would nominate Mr. Burkholder.
Any other nominations?
Mr. Evans.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Burkholder?
Burkholder.
Ms. McKee?
Mr. Burkholder.
Mr. Evans?
Evans.
Nominations for the CLOUT, that's the Coalition of Large Urban Townships. part of the Ohio Township Association organization. I will nominate Rosalind McKee.
I'll nominate myself.
Any other nominations? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Evans.
Mr. Burkholder?
McKee.
Ms. McKee?
McKee, Rosalind McKee.
Now comes to the, is there a motion regarding the township administrator as listed on item A?
I'll make a motion to move in regards to oversee the day-to-day operations of the township for our administrator.
I'll second that motion. Discussion.
Yeah, I don't understand why we have that because that is what we passed and in our job description.
That is correct. We just want to reaffirm that, so roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Organizational resolutions. Motion to adopt Robert's Rules of Order for our meetings for 2025. Go ahead,
So
Ms.
moved.
McKee. Is there a second? I'll second that. Discussion.
I'd like to amend that motion to include the latest version because it doesn't speak to what version, and that's the same issue we had going into this a couple years ago.
Which version is that, Mr. Evans?
If you list the most current of the Robert's Rules revised,
Very
that's
good.
what's important.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, roll call on the amendment as stated.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
the amendment passes. Any further discussion on the main motion to adopt Robert's Rules of Order? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
motion passes. I'll make a motion to set the regular meetings for 2025 for the first and third Tuesday of the month at 6 p.m. with the exception of Tuesday, May 6, 2025, the primary special election to move to Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, and Tuesday, November 4th, 2025 for the general election to Wednesday, November 5th, 2025. The organizational meeting will be held Tuesday, January 6th, 2026 at 6 p.m. And the first regular meeting would be held immediately after the organizational meeting. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Evans. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item C, motion to approve the signing of the checks for payroll, regular monthly bills, and all previously approved expenditures and purchase orders outside of meetings. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Evans. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item D, motion to approve. Is there a motion for item D? Anyone want to make that
I'll make a
motion?
motion for item D.
And you want to go ahead and
To
read that?
approve the payments of required fees and necessary expenses for elected officials to attend and participate in county, state, and national training conferences and seminars and conventions.
Is there a second?
Now second.
Seconded by Mr. Evans. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Is there a motion for item E?
I've got changes, so do you want me to motion and change, or?
Well, go ahead and make the motion.
Well, I'll make the motion to approve item E with the following changes, to
Well,
remove.
let's read the motion first. And
Okay, motion to authorize the township trustees and fiscal officer spending allowance of $1,000 per month for office supplies, postal expenses, and emergencies between meetings, and the road superintendent, Don Copley, is spending allowance of $2,500 for purchases between meetings with the approval of the township administrator. The township administrator, Susan Bedsole, a spending allowance of $7,500 per month for necessary expenses.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second to discussion.
Mr. Evans, do you
I'll
have?
make a motion to amend that, to remove office supplies, postal expenses, and add needed items and services between meetings as it was this year. I don't believe we should name the road superintendent and administrator because their position should be fine if somebody has to step in, or if there's a change, those should be stricken, just their titles. Additionally, there should be per month added with the 2,500 and 7,500 because there's no time associated with it, as with the trustee and fiscal officer spending allowance.
I'll second the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment?
Yes, like I had mentioned before, I know we went with the 7,500 for the administrator. Again, I want to reiterate that we meet twice a month, and with that being said, that's quite a bit on the allowance. I would think we would try to make that a $5,000 allowance, as well as making our road superintendent with the $5,000 allowance for emergencies, because I know Mr. Copley has always had that limit, so it's never been a problem. So I thought we would.
You want to amend the amendment?
I would say let's amend it to make 5,000 for the administrator, which we don't have to name the administrator, but whoever sits in the administrator's seat, as well as the superintendent of the road crew as well. But a $5,000, I would like to amend that to 5,000 instead of 2,500.
I'll second the amendment to the amendment. Any further discussion on the amendment to the amendment?
Well, I don't think increasing the road superintendent's allowance is necessary if we, this agenda does not include such items such as fuel and other items that should be part of it that we did earlier this year. But with the administrator's spending allowance, that can be used on anything, including the road. Sometimes there's repairs that are needed, and I think the 2,575 is adequate.
I'll call the question on the amendment to the amendment. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
The amendment to the amendment passes, so there'll be a change to the 2,500 to 5,000 for the road superintendent, from 7,500 to 5,000 for the administrator. And any further discussion now on the amended amendment? And that amendment is the changes that Mr. Evans proposed. So if there's
So we're including the monthly stipulation on those, and then the change in needed items and services between meetings, correct?
That's correct, and we're going with the general road superintendent and township administrator,
All right.
correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Okay, the amended amendment passes, and now, is there any further discussion on this amended motion, twice amended? If not, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Item E passes. I'll move to set the mileage reimbursement for 2025 at the current IRS rate at the time of the reimbursement request. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Item G, is there a motion for item G?
So moved. Motion to contract with Health Consortium for random drug, employee drug and alcohol testing for 2025, and designating, it says Susan Bledsoe, but I'd like to say administrator to be the township representative.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Well, rather than go through the whole amendment process, let's make that the administrator. If there's no further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Motion to pay the trustees and the fiscal officer on a salary basis by salary according to the Ohio Revised Code. Equal monthly payments are to be paid on the first day of the month. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion on this. This is normally, rather than being paid per diem, we get paid on a monthly basis. That's for the fiscal officer and for the trustees. If there's no further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Motion to pay all township employees every 2 weeks, the Friday following the end of the pay period. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Motion to continue the number of, I'll move to continue the number of work hours, rates of pay, number of employees and status. The full-time employees are Bob Atkins, Holly Palumbo, Ted Walker, Don Copley, Jonathan Dearman, Susan Bedsole, Terry Holtz, and Raymond Mitchell. Pay rates are as certified with the fiscal officer.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Evans. Any discussion?
Yes, discussion. Now, I know the pay rate is what it is, but I want to discuss the work hours. Holly is working 40 hours a week, that's her hours, but I noticed that she's working at each meeting. We have meetings twice a month. So therefore, not to even mention the zoning meetings and the BZA meetings, so we're putting her in overtime. So I would ask that we try to work with Holly to try to flex her time on those weeks that she has board meetings.
I don't think that's a problem.
I don't think that's a discussion for now. We're just certifying that these are the
No, yes, it
employees.
is, because we said work hours, so I want to make sure that that's, yeah,
Let
because this
the-
is current work hours.
Yeah, let the minutes reflect that, and we'll forward that to the township administrator. If there's no further discussion, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes,
motion passes. Item K, motion to I'll move to compensate the zoning commission and the board of zoning appeals members. That's $55 per meeting, and the chairperson at $85 per meeting.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Evans. That will include alternates as well, since when they attend those meetings, because they are there to fill in case one of the regular members is absent. And so I think it's also a great training opportunity for alternates. They come to those meetings. If they haven't served before, then they're prepared if we have to have them step in. So any further discussion or questions?
Yeah, now, are you saying that we're doing a change where the alternates can just show up at the meeting, not at the request of the chair?
I think they should show up at the meeting. I think we talk about training and experience, and I know we haven't had as much training as we'd like to get for our committee members, both the BZA and the zoning commission, but I believe that to build that, I guess, farm team, if you will, and to get them experiences is well worth the money that we spend as a township.
Well, I agree, but I think the training that it pushed for over a year would be more beneficial, so we can deal with that.
Any further discussion?
no, I think it's a good idea. For example, when we do sometimes have an alternate at our meetings and things happen so quickly, things are moved quickly, they still show up in case that one person didn't show up. So I think we should pay them because they're showing up. So yeah, I totally agree.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes,
Motion passes. Item L, this is the motion to approve the expenditure, and I'll move for members of Zoning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, and other boards to attend necessary training conferences and seminars. Trustee approved training conferences and seminars will be compensated with a meeting stipend similar to what they're getting when they come to a BZA or Zoning Commission meeting and there is a correction here. It says $50 with 55 in parentheses. It's actually, the spelling should be $55 plus mileage expenses. Is there a second to the motion?
second.
And I just want to make a clarification that you said similar to the board pay, this is different in that even the chairperson only gets 55.
That is correct, and I appreciate that clarification. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes,
And can I add I think we need to deal with the ordinary expenses of, especially the fuel, as we did earlier this year, allowing a $10,000 expenditure, because that is, what's happened in the past is the authorization limit has just routinely been violated because of those monthly needs.
Could you explain that 10,000 on the fuel?
on fuel, that the fuel purchases per month exceed the 25 or now 5,000 sometimes. And what has happened in the past is nobody's looked at or obeyed the limits. There was no oversight or anything like that. And it's a customary expense. It's, you know, it can be monitored by the administrator, but I think they need that outside of just their other authority on this. We did it earlier this year, and I think we should continue it, or earlier last year, and we should continue it this year.
You want to do that during the reorganization or during the regular meeting?
Well, we did it during reorganization last year because we're spelling out all the things that we're doing here. So I'd like to, I'll just make the motion.
Would you like to make the motion to append that to item E where we set those limits? Go ahead and make that.
Well, can we? Because we already approved that. Wouldn't this be a separate item? If you don't want to do it, we don't have to do it. But
no, I think we need to do it. But if that's the case, since
well,
it wasn't on
I'll just
the-
make a motion to approve the expenditure of up to $10,000 per month for fuel in the road department with the approval of the administrator.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
motion passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Moved by Ms. McKee. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Evans. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
stand adjourned. Thank you. I call to order the Etna Township Board of Trustees regular meeting here on Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 at 6:23 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Burkholder?
Here.
Ms. McKee? Here.
And is Mr. Young here to lead us in our invocation here this evening? Aaron Young, thank you. Please come up to the microphone. Please join us in the invocation.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Blessed are you, Lord our God, creator of heaven and earth, the seas, and all that in them is. We praise you, Lord, for allowing us to gather today in this assembly. As we come out of the season where we are reminded that the government is on your shoulders, our Lord Jesus Christ. And in his name, wonderful Counselor, Almighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. We pray, Lord Jesus, you will go before all of us in the matter of these things. As the community builds and your people come in, the city would wish to build houses and the township would wish to build houses. As it is written, unless the Lord build the house, the work of the workers' hands are in vain. So, Lord Jesus, go before us, and your peace be upon us. In your name we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Moved by Ms. McKee. Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion?
Once again, had no input on this agenda. It's important because it's the first meeting of the year that where statutorily we have to address a lot of things. They're not on here. It's starting out another year of mismanagement. ORC 505.04 requires Board of Trustees to provide an inventory by the second Monday. The Board of Trustees, so that needed to be on here today. It's not. Why? Because Mr. Burkholder has fought against having a master calendar since he took that seat. It doesn't make sense. We can't address anything, whether it be just standard administrative things or where I'm being contacted by individuals with zoning concerns that are financially affecting the owners of those lots. Nothing is being handled, and again, it's not on here. Outside counsel. Now, we were told that outside counsel was working on the Scannell issue. Well, that was proven to be a lie. And to have outside counsel, we have to authorize that every year. So obviously, it's Mr. Burkholder's intention not to address anything because we'd have to do it today. So both for the economic development and the development issues and the outside counsel for our employment matters, not addressed today. This meeting agenda today is vacant of anything of importance that we need to address. Even what was going to be on here was the Tax Incentive Review Council appointments. Mr. Burkholder didn't even know we had 2 seats, so it had to be removed. There's actually zero oversight, zero proper management, zero addressing of any issues, and again, this agenda is as close to the important chair purchase that we had last time. And if anybody looks at when I was actually president trying to get items through here, they were substantial and needed. So I move that we have to deal and add on here the inventory. Now, I don't know how we're going to do it with the outside counsel because it has to be by resolution, or are we just going to push it off? Or even the prosecutor opinion requests where there's outstanding records requests that have been ignored for, I think, over 4 months because of that. And that's wrong. And Mr. Burkholder, you will say that as administrator, she's out on medical leave and not working many hours, so you've retained control of this and control of the agenda. You refuse to put things on here, but then you put this nonsense about an investigation. I mean, you know, but you still put this in here. It's ridiculous. So I move to add the discussion on the inventory and the outside counsel to this agenda.
I'll second that for discussion. I respectfully disagree with you, Mr. Evans. It is true our administrator is out on medical leave, but I am in communication with her, and it was her recommendation that we deal with these items at a subsequent meeting, including the Tax Incentive Review Council. So I talked to her. I didn't override. I took her recommendation, and she said these are the things that we would address later. As far as the inventory, and if you want to talk about outside counsel, I have no problem that we amend this agenda, and so I've seconded it. Is there any further discussion?
In order to add outside counsel to deal with what in particular?
Mr. Evans?
Well, we're going to have a discussion on how that's going to be handled because as of now, there's no authorization for, and again, we're getting into the weeds during an agenda thing, which messed you guys up before. I think just put it on the agenda. We have a proper discussion. It's in the minutes in that section. We deal with it properly. But again, the mismanagement of not only the township, but these meetings.
Well, Mr. Evans, I'm not going to respond to a lot of that. I've worked with the township administrator. You're not in here on a daily basis. You don't know the operational side of this, and you constantly attack your colleagues in our boards and commissions. And so, is there any further discussion on his amendment?
Just quickly on the TIRC, do you know why it was pulled? Is because I brought it to the attention. Nobody else knows what's going on here, and you keep saying that you're in here, but you're doing nothing.
Well,
I do more for my home office than anything. I don't need to be in here to get things done and to have people contact me of what's going on when a document can't be found in this office that was sent to you 4 times. The administrator comes to me because she knows I'm the one that has some documents and actually makes some effort to have some working files.
Very good, Mr. Evans. Roll call, please, on the amendment.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
No.
Ms. McKee?
No.
Amendment fails. We'll go to adoption of the minutes, and I will move to remove from the table the September 7th, 2024 regular meeting minutes, which were tabled. Also, the November 19th, 2024 minutes, special meeting minutes, the December 3rd, 2024 regular meeting minutes, and the December 10th, 2024 special meeting minutes. And that is to remove those from the table. Is there a second?
I'll second.
On discussion on that, December 10th was never tabled, so you just removed something that wasn't.
Yeah,
tabled.
I'm sorry, that one was not tabled. You are correct, according to the agenda. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to adopt September 17th, 2024 regular meeting minutes? I will so move. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Those are adopted. I'll move to adopt the November 19th, 2024 special meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
I'd just like to say that the reason these minutes are so far behind is because of the mismanagement of Mr. Burkholder in not implementing the system that we put into effect back in May and June. This would be so much easier, and the production of the minutes could be quick, but again, it's the mismanagement. So I got us caught up once, implemented the system, and it just went to heck. Until things change in the management, which I don't think they will for the next year, we're going to have this issue.
Well, Mr. Evans, are you working closely with our administrative assistant? Are you coming in when you have these discrepancies?
I've been refused to, you actually did a vote to keep me from working with her on the minutes and on even the basic stuff. I was glad to see that you finally signed in after 7 months to the system we're paying $8,000 a year for. These are the type of things that it shouldn't happen after a year.
Well,
This is day 361.
Well, Mr. Evans, let's clarify something. It's our administrative assistant that works with Diligent to load the things in and to put the minutes in. So you like to make it a big deal like, oh, well, Mr. Burkholder, you need to be working on Diligent. It's our administrative assistant that has worked very hard to get these caught up.
No, this isn't anything against the staff. It's the improper oversight and management of it, because the system has not been implemented. Even my corrections, I used to, before it got sent out, go through it and say, okay, we need to modify this motion in the system's missing and that. That is refused.
No,
Yes, it is. It is absolutely refused.
no.
You can say no, but it is.
I never
Just like your
refused.
other lies of there's no notice of asking for a budget.
I'll call the
Lies.
question. I'll call the question. On the approval of the November 19th, 2024 special meeting. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Move to approve the December 3rd, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Do you have the same discussion, Mr. Evans, the same?
No, I
comments?
just want to point out that in, what was it, May 20th, I caught up all the minutes, and we're right back to where it was, and that's not because of me.
Yes, sir. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes,
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
minutes are adopted. I'll move to adopt the December 10th, 2024 special meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion, I'll go to Ms. McKee first.
I have no discussion on that.
Mr. Evans?
No, I think everybody's aware why these are late.
Well, okay, but we're getting them caught up, and that was the whole mission here. And I'd like to remind you that we approved 3 or 4 sets previously at a meeting, and you voted no for all of them. So you don't sit there.
Because they weren't provided
Yes,
in
well-
a timely manner.
Well, no, you said you were too busy.
No. They weren't, when you provide a 2-hour meeting that was 16 pages, you can't properly review it. And you are the one that lied saying you reviewed it and didn't. I don't lie. If I didn't have a chance to review it because it's 16 pages each, I'll say it.
Okay, very good. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Minutes are approved. It's now my pleasure to introduce Mayor Joe Bagany from the city of Reynoldsburg. He has requested to come forward and update us on some things that are going on in Reynoldsburg. And Mr. Mayor, I appreciate it. I'd like to note that we've also been working with Reynoldsburg when it comes to the study regarding the Palmer Road and Taylor Road, and I think that was passed maybe at the end of last year or the first of 2024. But you have the floor, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for coming.
No, thank you, Trustee Burkholder, President Burkholder, Vice President Rosalind McKee, and Trustee Evans. I actually do have an update. As you know, the plans that are in place by the Ohio Department of Transportation to add an additional on and off ramp at the Taylor Road and 70 interchange. I did talk with ODOT actually earlier today. That is still on schedule for construction in 27 and 28, assuming funding is approved. I will give you a couple of dates just so you're aware. They plan on filing their application to the state for their last branch of funding in May of this year, and they anticipate a decision in January or February of 26. So they're continuing with their pre-engineering. This is just going to take it to that next step. I also have news. We do feel that the Ohio Department of Transportation and MORPC have finally provided the general information for the traffic study that has been done in conjunction for pretty much all of Licking County, but specifically in our area. So I'm hopeful that after tomorrow's monthly engineering meeting that I have with EMH&T, we'll be able to start getting a timeline to you on when we're going to start seeing some actual progress in meetings and public meetings so we can understand what the impact of this interchange would be to us, specifically at that Palmer and Taylor intersection. So stay tuned, it should be some fun stuff. Any questions about that particular project?
Appreciate it.
No problem. The other one, I just wanted to make sure, I know that some questions had come up about a project that is moving forward in Reynoldsburg. That is it is a multifaceted project that starts with a sewer expansion that will begin around Taylor Road, and then we'll kind of cut through a parcel until you get to Summit Road. This is a public-private partnership as well as support from the state of Ohio via grant that was awarded to the city of Reynoldsburg about 1.5 years ago that will provide additional sewer access to the land, basically, I guess you'd say, directly north or directly west of Summit Elementary School and a little bit to the parcel over. If you look down with a Google view, you'll see it's basically a big treed area by the white farmhouse and a lot of empty space. It's going to be a couple of different things. One, the trees are staying. We are actually getting about 24 acres of park space that will be dedicated specifically for that with the trees that are already in existence. For those of you that might not be familiar with Reynoldsburg, we have a wonderful park called Pine Quarry Park. It's very similar to Hocking Hills. It's an old limestone quarry where there's a lot of elevation, some ridges and things like that. It's one of the most pristine areas in Reynoldsburg, so if you get a chance, please come out and take a look at it, especially, well, I'd wait until the snow melts just a little bit. But we're planning on keeping this area just as it is. There may be some trail work inside, but this will actually be our furthest eastern park in the city of Reynoldsburg. Next to that will be obviously some housing. I believe most of you are familiar with my views on housing on that one. This will include about 250 owner-occupied homes and approximately, depending on how engineering kind of works its way through, around 350 multifamily homes. This will be on, the entry and access point will be mostly on Summit Road, but it will also connect to other areas which will take it out to Main Street through the Eastwood location as well. This sewer capacity will not only allow this particular project to take place, but it'll also open up for the city of Reynoldsburg a potential commercial space, which is south of the elementary school at Summit Elementary, an 80-acre parcel that is currently in the city boundaries, as well as potential for a sewer expansion into the area, which is basically the Summit Reynoldsburg campus area. Right now, the capacity is limited to the high school and the elementary school. The city of Reynoldsburg, or the school district of Reynoldsburg, did put forth a bond issue a number of years ago that was unsuccessful. The hope is that at one point in time they will be able to build a middle school there, and this will actually help them with sewer capacity, so it solves one of the problems from a financial standpoint. As I mentioned, this is done with a public-private partnership with MI Homes, Don Kenny Homes, as well as a grant from the state of Ohio that the city of Reynoldsburg applied for. In addition to that, as we all know, that it's one thing to build housing, but it's another thing to make sure that people can get to it and from it with as little issue as possible. And I was pleased to announce in early December that the city of Reynoldsburg was awarded the OPWC grant for Summit Road expansion. And I will, now that that is official, I would like to meet with you after, again, I have the engineering meeting tomorrow to kind of discuss the plans for that. The rough basic idea is, the most important thing is there will be a light at Summit and Main Street. There are serious safety concerns at that intersection with people coming and going. I know there were incidents in the past of that. So that is part of the project. The lanes will be widened from basically Main Street to just south of the elementary school, which is currently where the 3 lanes start. With that, we will be having a number of public meetings as well as individual meetings with property owners to talk about what they would like in terms of multi-purpose path versus sidewalk, or would they like to have both on either side to again encourage that walkability all the way across. We will hopefully have a timeline on that after tomorrow's meeting. The goal is to complete engineering design for that this year, and construction, and that would start sometime in 2026. My anticipation is the sewer project will start within probably, I would say, let's say by February 1, with a completion of about 90 to 120 days after that. And then once that's completed, then the housing project itself will be there. The sewer project will have no bearing of traffic issues in Etna Township. It will only be a little bit of delay on the Taylor Road access, but most of it will be off to the side. Everything else will be interior to that. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions about the project if you have any.
I did have a couple questions. As far as on the map, I saw the sewer cuts through on the Etna portion of some private property.
Correct.
Did you work out individually with that individual for that access?
Yeah, they have an access agreement with that, yes.
Okay.
And we will be maintaining it afterwards, but only underground for access if there's something bad happens.
Okay. I know that area is part of the annexation agreement, so I don't know if something was going through with that or not. And then I know it's TIFed, the property's TIFed. Is it a school, non-school TIF?
This was actually sent out to the school district. It is and I can always reverse the terms, it is a 75% 10-year TIF, so we will be getting a majority of the funding with that for the project, as well as to finish financing the rest of Summit Road.
Okay. I just remain concerned because with our fire district, and I know schools in both jurisdictions, but I believe this is Licking Heights, isn't
Correct,
it?
Licking Heights.
That funding is important, and I'm against the TIFs, taking away money from the schools and fire, but I just want to clarify that.
Normally, in most cases, I do agree with you. I'm not a fan of that. However, in this particular case, dealing with the infrastructure issues that are there and allowing for the funding to come up, without this TIF, Reynoldsburg City Schools would actually have to pay approximately the entire cost of the sewer expansion if they were to pass it. So while in the short term it does damage that aspect of it, the reality is we're saving them about $5 million depending on what the final cost of this project comes up with. As for the fire department, we're good partners with West Licking Fire. You're well aware that we were able to broker a deal for the $1 for the firehouse that was actually located in Taylor Road. We tried to get some state funding with it, but unfortunately weren't able to. Reynoldsburg citizens actually supported the fire levy in the last election by 52-48%. Unfortunately, the rest of Licking County was not as supportive.
I just it was $1 for the property, but there were conditions where we had to expend, I think, over $300,000 for a walkway, which kind of balanced out now for that property.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's all the questions I have.
I just wanted to make sure if we could make sure we are kept informed of those meetings when you first start them, so we can get invited and come out and support our side of.
Absolutely. If it's all right, I would just email the township administrator,
That would be
whoever it is
awesome.
that you would want,
Yes.
to make sure that when we have graphics and designs and
Please.
everything for locations,
Yes,
if possible, there's also, I'm happy to come out here specifically, not just with this project, but when we start talking about the Taylor Road and 70 interchange, I'm happy to come out here and we can do a whole show about what all of that looks like, because it's not just something that impacts Reynoldsburg. I want to make sure that residents of Etna Township also have that opportunity as well.
And I just got one other quick question on Summit Road. I believe a portion of that is Etna Township's responsibility, correct?
I believe some of it is, but I think with some of the issues with some of the water maintenance and things of that nature, they've signed over at least the roadway to that, but we will be working with the property owners for that particular thing. And if there are any jurisdictional issues with that.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Mayor?
No, I welcome a great productive 2025 for Etna Township. You are partners on the side, and we appreciate your support with the JED deals that we have. Continue to make sure we get enough employees out there to make it worthwhile for all of us, so we have a little bit of funding to do with the infrastructure issues that we all deal with. So, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for coming out
Thank you
here
very much.
tonight and for that update. Okay, now we have public comments, 3 minutes. Anyone that would like to speak tonight, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and please address the board.
Hello, Rachel Zelazny, 10141 Tollgate Road Southwest. I just want to thank our road crew and Bubba for the amazing job that he and the crew have done the last week. One thing that I am curious is that for around the farmland, like where the Harveys is, if we could do like a snow barrier to help them with those main roads, especially Friday after the storm from everything, the drifting going through. We had multiple people in my yard. Somebody took out Chuck's transformer and he lost power, and then your mailbox, I don't know. We had our tractor collecting his items all over
There were
Tollgate Road.
multiple accidents Friday, yeah.
Yeah, so if we could get something, I know Pataskala does it, where they put up those
Snow fence.
snow fences. I think that could help a lot in that area, and maybe other than, they don't have to keep going up and down the road, but also maybe Chuck, that poor man is on his, 4th mailbox this past year. Just to help with the area. I think it could be helpful for us, but then also for the road crews not to have to continuously hit the same roads. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time?
Yes, Stephen Paul, 76 Nantucket Avenue, Etna, Ohio. I'd like to make the following request, that none of the trustees make any comments until I'm done, right? Any comments shall be placed in writing, not verbally. Number 1, subject. What happened to the missing server? Okay, last time I heard, it was in storage. Has it been inventoried as per 505.04? Where is the location of said server? Who is in possession of it? Is anyone here on the Board of Trustees in possession of such server? I don't know. I'd like to know. Keys were also at this point in time reportedly taken from the lockbox out there. I'd like to know in writing, public records request again, what was the chain of custody? Where are the keys? Have the locks been changed? Where are the keys? Is this not a security issue? Why are you smiling? Don't answer. It has to be in writing. Thank you. Okay, are the taxpayers still on the bill for paying for certain trustees' phones? If they are, I'm requesting public records that all phone calls made on taxpayers' phones, funded phones, be made available. The phone numbers to and from said phone. Period. Comprehensive plan. What is the state of the comprehensive plan? Have there been misunderstandings in it? Where is it going? Where we are as a township and taxpayers. Okay. Crane. The crane down here that's been sitting for 6 months that John Carlisle bought the property for has been sitting there, hasn't swung or moved in 6 months. I know I'm not really good with money, but you know what? Having something there sit that long, something's not right. What's the progress of this sewer plant, supposedly?
30 seconds.
Okay. Last thing, Mr. Burkholder, you stated, quote, early in this meeting, the administrator was sick. You said that she told you to postpone some of the minutes and stuff as required by 504, okay? How do you, Mr. Burkholder, operate? I want this in writing. You can contact your attorneys, whatever.
5 seconds.
You can contact the attorneys. I want it in writing. How do you supersede the Ohio Revised Code?
Time.
What gives you the authority?
Thank you. Is there anyone else at this time?
My name is Thea Young. I live at 9167 Taylor Road. I had a couple questions for the mayor, if that's permittable.
Sure.
I'm fine.
Go ahead.
Okay. My question to the mayor is twofold. One, I did attend the December 16, 2024 City Council meeting when you were voting on the tax increment financing agreement for the Summit Crossing development. So my understanding is the Summit Crossing development needs the water and sewer to get there, but that tax or that TIF, only Etna Township residents will be paying for that through their fire, the school system. My question to the mayor is how much actual money in that project does the city of Reynoldsburg have in it?
We have a public-private partnership which puts us up at least 1.3 million up front, and then the remainder of the cost will be deferred to the developer who's making it, reimbursed through the TIP thereafter, minus the 1.3 million.
So the city of Reynoldsburg has 1.3 in it, or is that your grant money?
That would be reimbursed through the grant.
So Reynoldsburg has no money in it?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and so how much money from our tax revenue is going to be moved from the schools and from the fire department and anything on my tax bill? How much money is projected for that TIF in 10 years?
I believe, and I'd have to verify, but it's somewhere in the range of 5 to 6 million, give or take a couple of bucks. I don't have the exact numbers.
And again, am I correct in saying that only Etna Township residents' tax revenue money is being moved from those pots to this TIF pot to pay for this water and sewer?
This would all be in the city of Reynoldsburg proper, so I'm not sure why. I realize that people live in Reynoldsburg that are also part of Etna Township, but these are Reynoldsburg citizens, and it will be Reynoldsburg city property that is going to be funding this, not necessarily Etna Township.
30 seconds. Anything else?
I do. So I have one, I wanted to thank people for coming, but also if someone is living on Summit Road, their property tax money that helps support the schools and the fire will possibly go up. And one more question, is there any intimate domain in this project?
The second one is no. This was a deal all right through. I'm not sure about your second part of your question. I can answer that over here.
Time, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for taking those questions.
Can
for
I ask the
clarification.
board one more thing? I'm sorry. One more thing. My husband will give me a minute of his time. I did actually send quite a few emails concerning this project not being posted on today's agenda. The homeowners not knowing what's going on with this project. And I was wondering because of that, the information I did send in emails to Holly and everybody, including the administrator, I wanted to know if we could enter that into the record, please. The minutes for tonight, please. So if anybody's looking for it, they can find it.
Very good. Who's next, please? Ma'am?
Can I
Your
just
minutes.
do it from here?
Yeah.
Here, I can bring
I
you
can
the
speak
microphone,
louder, thank you.
just so it's recorded. No karaoke.
Thanks.
State your name and address, please, and
My name is Tia Zimmerman. I live at 9305 Summit Road. And my question is, if we're funding another major development on Summit Road with our sewer and water, which has already been torn up once this year and last year, and we're gonna have to expect to do it again, but yet our children don't go to Reynoldsburg City Schools. We have nothing to do with Reynoldsburg. My grandchildren, I don't have children, I have grandchildren, they can't go to Reynoldsburg. It's right down the road. We have no sidewalks. The bus traffic that's there, we've lost our mailbox 4 times from people hitting it. I can't tell you how many people drive through our roads. Yet you want to expand the Summit Road width. And none of the homeowners on our street know anything about this. And we have had so much, we bought this property 15, 20 years ago. And it was a little place like being in the country, in the city. And now I have to wait in my driveway at 7 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get out because of the traffic. I suggest maybe you think about putting a dead end at Lakeland, right past Lakeland Estates, fill in the other parts so all the traffic has to go to Reynoldsburg and they can deal with it. Because they're asking us in our taxes to pay for things that the developer should pay for. They got a grant. It's not on us. No one asked us about the first project. I don't mind building places for people to live, but the people who have been there, who have paid their taxes, should at least be informed of these things. And it can't be just, oh, I hear from a neighbor because we're talking about it. Or I see a tractor in our front yard digging up our driveway. It's got to stop. You have to have more input from the people if you want us to stay. What I'm hearing right now, we're out. If there's a ramp from I-70 to Taylor Road, and then all this construction that's right there, and my daughter can't get into it because it's, $1,500 for a 1-bedroom apartment. This is ridiculous. I mean,
30 seconds.
I'm very upset, and I think that you guys need to get a little more input from the people who live in your township that voted you in. And give us a little bit of say in what's gonna happen to us, because agreements can be made. I've worked for the government for 20 years. It's easy.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Shelley Marie E. Podge, 114 Royalty Drive. Another shout out to the road crew. I know they work hard. Stuff well done. I was thrilled to see we have some candidates for the zoning commission, zoning appeals, and alternate. I was really thrilled to see Mr. Dave Olson is agreeable to another term if appointed, and I wanted to ask that you please consider and weigh heavily in his favor. I think long story short, he has more experience, and the depth of his experience is just immeasurable. He has more experience than the rest of us on the commission put together. So I know I, for one, and many others, we would love to see him reappointed. And super excited that it looks like we also have qualified candidates for perhaps some alternates. I'm looking forward to that, because we have a lot of critical work right in our laps, and the help would, I'd love to get going with it, with with a full commission as alternates. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to speak as a resident.
Before you do, Mr. Evans, I first of all want to publicly apologize to my colleague, Ms. McKee, and also to our township administrator. I misspoke at the last meeting, Ms. McKee, when Mr. Evans said that he was going to speak from the podium as a resident and you objected. I incorrectly stated that the township administrator had said that was permissible. She did not say it was permissible. What she actually had told me is she had given me a heads up that Mr. Evans was going to speak from the podium. So I wanted to make that public announcement that I misspoke when I told you that because she just said, I want you to know what Mr. Evans intends to do. Apparently he had informed her of that. I was told, but I haven't, is there an opinion from the prosecutor regarding
Yes, it
a
is.
trustee's?
It was an opinion that was made several years ago, and that's their opinion as a prosecutor because you can't wear two hats. You are a trustee, you are a trustee, you are a trustee. You don't go from a trustee to a resident within, in this incident. So we are advised against it. I wouldn't put his minutes on the record because of the fact that he is standing as a resident, but he is in this meeting as a trustee.
So if we can, I'd like to, I'm not going to deny you from speaking, Mr. Evans, because I know how you feel about it, and I'm prepared for your remarks, but I would like us to get a copy of that if possible from the prosecutor,
I can tell you there
just
is
so we
none.
can clarify. So, Mr. Evans, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Yeah, Mark Evans, 91 Old North Church Road. And the reason I have to do this is because Mr. Burkholder and Ms. McKee routinely cut me off, even in the middle of a sentence about an important insurance matter for a road crew member to adjourn the meeting. They're not transparent. And this organizational meeting shows that Mr. Burkholder's flip is total. He wants to clarify something before, but he doesn't want to address his numerous lies he's made up here into residents on Lynn's Road who caught you in those lies, both of you. You refused again to address even a matter that's required by Ohio Revised Code 505.04. You're just going to ignore it. I see in the administrator's report we're trying to explain away the ignoring of the 519.12 requirement that it gets passed, the change that they approved gets passed on to Licking County Planning Commission. Minutes say that. I even brought out the audio of the meeting, and it was clear it said that. So instead of ensuring that the law is followed, we're trying to explain away, provide cover, not deal with things. We're still left with a zoning inspector that, not on his part, but has zero experience to handle all this stuff when we approved the position to be posted, and it's still not posted, 314 days before this board said, yeah, we're gonna do it for real this time. It's been an entire year of mismanagement, of not addressing anything, no proper oversight. I don't blame any of the staff, especially our secretary, because the burden put on her shoulders to deal with everything without proper support or oversight, it is immense. And Mr. Burkholder, in reviewing the approval for the position that you unilaterally just decided not to post when the board approved it, those minutes are even incorrect. We approved the correct minutes. Those were part of the ones I got caught up. But if you go to the official minutes, you sign. It's missing whole blocks of sections, and there is absolutely zero oversight that's been going on. And I was contacted by a realtor that doesn't know what's going on, and as I mentioned before, it's financially impacting the people. The residents are tired of this. It's going to be a whole nother year of this nonsense, I'm afraid, because...
10 seconds.
Oh, I've got my time here, Mr. Burkholder, but you've lied. You haven't kept one of your promises, not one. And it's time things change, but apparently it's not going to.
Thank you. Who's next, please?
Ryan Davis, 8807 Watkins Road. I wish I could ask the board vote so I could sit as a trustee the rest of the meeting instead of get up in public comments like Mr. Evans just did. I think it's very important that we drill down on these lies that Mr. Evans is claiming Mr. Burkholder said. So Mr. Burkholder made a comment that the administrator advised him not to put Mr. Evans's requested agenda items on the meeting. Are you calling the administrator a liar for doing that? Or are you calling Mr. Burkholder a liar for saying the administrator did that? Because you call him a liar for several things, but there's so much gray and there's no exact, you speak in such platitudes,
No.
it's very hard to keep up.
I have emails for all my
Mr.
clients,
Evans,
all the lies.
Mr. Evans, it's
You
your
asked me a
time.
question.
Mr. I did not.
It's rhetorical. Let him finish, Mr. Evans.
Thank you. So, I really appreciate the mayor of Reynoldsburg getting up here and giving a very formal, very professional presentation. I hope it was something you were listening, Mr. Evans, very intently to, because I don't know the mayor at all, but it was a very professional, very leadership, commanding presence, understanding, asking for teamwork, willing to help, positive upspin that is completely lacking from your chair. So I hope the rest of the meeting goes a little smoother, but I think we've proven by now that nothing will, and wish the rest of the board luck the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
I'd just like to say the mayor doesn't have fiscal officer
You
with
have your time, I
withholding
have mine.
bank statements,
You're out of-
hiding records.
You're out of order, Mr. Evans. Mr. Hanson, I'll let you state your name and address, please, and we'll move along. Thank you.
Stay the hell out of it.
Mr.
John Hanson, Ridgewood Drive, Etna, Ohio. I think Mr. Evans' performance here at the public podium every week till election kind of proves that it's all about the election right now. In December, I posted a few test items on Etna Community Facebook where an Evans appointee removed 7 of my posts that were critical of the trustee. He even removed the videos of this meeting. He doesn't even post his videos of his meetings now because his performance is so not good for him, is one way to say it. Evans Stack BZA has 2 Facebook moderators on it. Evans lives on Facebook. Is that a coincidence? This is the same thing as the 2 prior elections where he controls the moderators and therefore tries to control the narrative. Evans is afraid of anything on etnatoday.com. He tears down everything I put up there, including a eulogy. I believe we put that on Etna Community, a eulogy for Sam Schaefer of Maverick Motors. I don't see that on there. I could be mistaken. I'm not too good with Facebook. I'm not an expert like Mr. Evans here. Trustee Evans is desperate to control the narrative for the election. This is why the board positions are so important to Evans. My mentor taught me that there are 2 ways to have the tallest building in town. The first one is to build it. Evans has built nothing. This takes considerable skill, capital, and integrity. The other is to tear everybody else's down. And tearing down is usually the path of the incompetent and toxic bullies. Trustee Evans, you have unanimously earned the title of the bully of the township. Trustee Evans, is it fair to say that you are purposely causing chaos, attacking others to position yourself as the only alternative? Trustee Evans, you would rather see Etna Township fail than not be in charge. Let's just look at the result. What's the count? 9 people driven out. Actively now pursuing Letitia on zoning. Jackie as the fiscal officer. Gary and Roz, pretty evident tonight. I must say you were fairly restrained tonight, probably because we have guests. Since Trustee Evans cannot answer yes or no questions, let's get his opinion of a possible problems with recording the executive sessions to create
30
a public
seconds.
meeting. Since you quote the law and the Openness Records Act while attacking others and admitted that you made the records public by recording on Facebook and in the Advocate, would it follow that you caused a public meeting that had no notice and the public was not invited to? Is that a violation of the Open Records Act? You're a Facebook lawyer. Let's write about it tonight. 1:30 a.m. Post. Given the administrator's report about the status of the Zoning Commission's work to define substantial, will you offer public apologies to Letitia McIntyre and Gary Burkholder both in this meeting and on Facebook for your unfounded
10
accusations
seconds.
that they violated Ohio law?
Thank you.
Yeah, wave some more evil. That's real.
Who's
evidence.
next, please?
Minutes,
Who's next, please?
minutes and the audio
State your,
recording does
Mr.
not
Evans, you're
lie.
out of order. State your name and address, please.
So you
You'll
can
have
speak,
three-
but I can't.
You'll have
right?
3 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Sarah Ferguson, 43 Ballman Road. So we just need to brace for growth because it is coming one way or another. For one, I'm really excited about the Taylor Road exit because I hate going by Walmart, and that's the way I get to 70. So for one, I'm really excited about an on-ramp to not have to go by Walmart. So I just think that we need to brace for it and, do something with open arms and a collaborative instead of always fighting against each other. I'm sorry, but I feel like Etna Township is a laughing stock of our surrounding communities. So when I say I live in Etna Township, they're like, oh, it's just, this is an election year for 2 trustees. So I just hope that if anyone is interested in running to try to make the Etna Township a little better, that maybe we speak up because obviously what we're doing right now is not working. The park in Reynoldsburg that Mayor Joe was talking about, I feel like that's going to be done before our park. So, and that's been going on for 3 years, but it's not just one person or another. I don't like playing the blame game. Every single one of you up there right now is to blame. So it's not one single person, it's everybody. Figure out a way to work together because this election's coming up and something's got to change because this is not how government works. This is not how business works. I love hearing Mayor Joe speak. He is very eloquent and he is a great public speaker, very knowledgeable. He's offered many times to help out, so I don't know, figure something out. If a township cannot make progress, what happens if we fall apart? Because that's what I'm seeing is that our township is crumbling. You guys are controlling millions and millions of dollars of our money. What are you doing with it? Because I don't see anything going on out on my road. I see nothing going on. I see fighting and bickering, but you guys have millions of our dollars. Mm-hmm. So what happens if we fall apart? Where are we going to go? What's going to be a part of our city? Is there a contingency plan? Because that's, at this point, sometimes how I feel is that Etna Township is going nowhere, and it's going to crumble. So, and also, why do we not do more grants? Because I see the other cities getting millions and millions of dollars in grants that's free money from the government that's not coming out of the taxpayer dollars.
30 seconds.
That we are eligible to get and eligible to apply for, but Etna Township does not. So I feel like we need to do a better job with our administration to do and apply for grants to get free money to take the burden off the taxpayers. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Next, please. Name and address, please.
I'm Chuck Bundy, 10254 Tollgate Road Southwest. Sorry about my phone. I don't know how to turn the damn thing off. I just want to speak from a position of experience. I've lived on Tollgate Road in the same house for 50 years. I've seen a lot of stuff go on in front of my house. And Bubba, you've done a good job. You had a hell of a Friday. And you guys were doing everything you could, and I appreciate that, I really do. But the stretch between my house at 10254 and 10365, I think it is, that stretch is wide open, north and south. And whenever there's a weather event like we had on Thursday and Friday, you have the prevailing wind coming from the southwest. It blows right across that prairie, and it blows the snow over on Tollgate Road, and it makes it slicker than anything you can think about. At 1 o'clock, a car slid off the road in front of my house and took out a power pole and a transformer. So my electric was down. At about 1:20, a car came and slid on that ice I'm talking about, and it slid into my front yard and took out a tree, a fence, and a mailbox. Just going over what Rachel said. My suggestion would be, I don't know who runs the roads here, but my suggestion would be to put a snow fence 70 feet behind the road, because when you have that prevailing southwest wind and you have a snow event, that road gets impassable. I've been there a long time. I've seen a lot happen, and that's just my suggestion. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. We appreciate that feedback.
Yeah.
Who's next?
Aaron Young, 9167 Taylor Road, southwest. I'm sorry to hear about Sam. He was just quite a blessing to this community. My goodness, our family too. I thank you, Mayor, for being here today and sharing the plans with us. And there was a couple things you said about in the city, there was a levy that was voted for, and then here in Lincoln County it was not. And also there will be some trees, that will stay. And I just want to make sure we all know that we're the ones that vote and the trees don't vote. It's a point I want to bring up because I recall my parents living in Beechwood Trails when the sewer and the water came through. And like many of us, they have the good water right out of their own yards that the Lord provides out of the ground, and our own sewage systems that the Lord provides also. We're not dependent on the cities. For them, my parents, and I'm not sure how many others, but sometimes there's an assessment or you're forced to tie into the water and sewer. It would be good if there's some effort on the township possibly to let the citizens know whether it be a forced tie-in to the water and the sewer, and what kind of cost is that to the citizens, because though the trees might remain, some citizens may not be able to afford it and be forced to go on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
John Cremines, 9617 Linz Road. I too want to thank the road crew for doing such a stupendous job. Folks that, being on the Orchard Glen Trustee, we made efforts to try to get the roads cleared in Orchard Glen subdivision. Hopefully that made their job a little bit easier. In that retrospect, we tried to get them off the roads. We kind of warned them that they would be towed. So I think that kind of really helped out. Secondly, your organizational meeting. I just got a quick question for Mr. Evans. You had seemed disappointed that Mr. Burkholder made the motion to have the alternates to be paid for. Being an alternate myself, I was at every meeting except one, and when I couldn't make that, I notified Mr. Davis here, and I believe that one meeting was just like a 5-minute meeting I missed. So I really didn't miss any meetings. You made one small statement as it was being closed out about they get the training during the year. I want you to know that.
Go ahead.
I want you to know that I never received any training for that position. I was told I was supposed to be getting training, but I never received any. I just wonder, kind of, because I noticed you mentioned that.
I said I pushed for the training for a year and it wasn't done. We had an outside firm, McBride Dale, that was supposed to, but again, that was out of my hands. I kept pushing. Are we going to train the BZA and the zoning commission, bring them in? It was the mismanagement that as you say, you didn't have any training, and that to me is shocking, and that's where the lack of support comes in. Now, regarding the payment of the alternates that weren't asked to be there, that was brought up early in the year, so I questioned, is this an intentional change? Because there was a lot of things on there that wasn't known or in
I
there.
was just mainly concerned because you seem to be the only one that was kind of discerned about an alternate being paid, and I mean, I didn't care whether I was paid or not. I told you guys that when you brought me up. But the thing of it is it's important for the alternate to be there, because as a BZA board, when they're going over an appeal, sometimes it takes more than just one meeting. I believe we had one that took, what, 2?
30 seconds.
And so that's the importance of.
No, I understand.
And I think if we do pay them, the alternates would show. Make sure that they're there. I mean, me and Mr. Davis was there regardless, but.
And the way it was, and like I said, I was clarifying if this was a change or not, because the organizational meeting wasn't well thought out. But in the past, and with Mr. Holloway on there, that it was the chair's request to have the alternates, because you can make decisions without a full board.
Okay, before I lose my time, I just wanted to, I
Yes,
just
go
wanted
ahead.
to say thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming in for your the Reynoldsburg mayor. I know he's talking with someone now.
Can we have order, please? Go ahead, Mr. Cummings.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to appreciate your time for coming in, and did want to make one statement. Hopefully, where they made the sheets, you are cleaning up that area.
We are working with the property owners to clean it. Sometimes it takes a little longer than we would like.
Appreciate that. Thanks. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Who's next, please? Anyone else? Very good. Board has a copy of the administrator's report. Any questions or comments on that?
Yes, I disagree with the contention that the zoning commission didn't pass the definition. It was going to the staff, because in the minutes, in the audio, in the video, it's clear that they did pass that, and there was even discussion, it's going to Licking County, the planning commission. The chair said, oh, no, it was forwarded to the trustees, which it still wasn't, it was the wrong path. So again, we can't just make things up and not deal with the issues. And the zoning commission chair has been provided numerous times throughout this year and violated the Ohio Revised Code, which is the law, numerous times, and it's not addressed, it's ignored, and it's gonna put us into jeopardy. So I wholeheartedly disagree with it, and as I say, anything I state, I can prove. I've got the audio, I've got the minutes, I've got all that stuff, so I'm just not making this stuff up. So I disagree with that, and if we're not gonna properly handle things, and we're gonna pretend things aren't so, we have no hope of addressing this, and I agree that we are the laughingstock, because we can't even address anything of substance and get it through. I mean, we're gonna fail because of the zoning office. We don't have anybody qualified in the zoning office, so, and what are we gonna do? It's just time and time again. So anybody wants to see the evidence on the substantial motion, I can provide it, but that what the claim is in the report is just false. And I think it's just to try to make peace, but we got to deal with facts and deal with things as they are.
Well, I'll comment on that, because I know for a fact that the township administrator listened to the audio, listened to the minutes. There was actually a meeting prior to the 9/24 meeting, Mr. Evans. You were in here, I believe, talking to Mr. Olson, correct? About the substantial variance, is that correct? Did you have a meeting with Mr. Olson?
That was over the changes to the LB, AB, all that. That was going on for 3 years without being dealt with properly and still wasn't.
Well, Mr.
But,
Evans.
and
well,
it wasn't
now,
over substantial.
Let's stay on substantial, because I became aware of substantial when Mr. Holloway, who serves on Lincoln County Planning Commission, brought to my attention what Liberty Township had done. But subsequent to that, and I've listened to the minutes and read those minutes as well, but there was subsequent conversation to that meeting, Mr. Evans. And I've had at-length discussions with the township administrator on that, and she listened to it as well. And one of the members from the zoning commission came in and talked to our planning consultant, which you did not support to continue. So when you talk about a lack of staff, there's a reason. Let me finish. And Mr. Olson talked about the fact that he thought that they would just use the word substantial, not substantial variance. Well, and I know that the minutes talk, and I think it was Mr. Kelly talked about, well, we need to limit it just to variances because there's 17 to 18 other references in our zoning code that deal with the word substantial. And so it has to be very narrowly defined. And so, in fact, Mr. Schultz, who is no longer with us on a contract basis, and in fact, you have those materials of the research that he did, and I've spoken to Mr. Holloway since. We want to make sure that that language is absolutely correct and that it applies to our code, not Liberty Township, although the language is it is very simple, it is somewhat the same. And so it is our intention to put that finalized text. You can't send something to Lincoln County Planning Commission and they'll just request. We, the township, meaning our zoning staff, have to get that text, which is going to be a change to our definitions here in Etna Township. We want to make certain we get it right. And so I hope that that will be on the 14th of this month, January 14th, for the zoning commission to deal with that. And then within 5 days, and I hope sooner, get that down to the Lincoln County Planning Commission. But Mr. Evans, I take great exception to the way you have treated Letitia McIntyre and other members of our zoning commission. And by the way, that administrator's report was not written by me, so I don't appreciate your disrespect to our township administrator. In fact, your disrespect to everyone, the residents. If you want to know why there isn't progress being made in Etna Township, first of all, that's not true. There is progress, and I will talk under trustee comments about the things that we have accomplished. But we sit here week after week, day after day, and we hear from one trustee that nothing's getting done, nothing's been done, we don't work with anyone, we don't cooperate with anyone. That's just simply not true. These are false narratives that are continually being perpetrated on this community by one trustee. So, Mr. Evans, we will move forward with this, but the way you have treated people that are basically volunteers, you call us liars, you call us crooks, you say we violate the law constantly, and Mr. Evans,
you have lied.
Half the time, you don't know the facts of the case.
I know more about what's going on, what should be going on than both of you, but however, in the minutes, right here, adoption of substantial variance in definition, they passed it. There was nothing about anything else that had to be done. That's why even you didn't understand the process, because you went in there on November 17th and said, oh, we're going to take this up in our next meeting as a trustee. That is not part of the process. And what's supposed to be done is they come up with the recommendation. It within 5 days goes to Lincoln County Planning Commission, comes back to them with their recommendation. They make changes, then they have a public hearing within 20 to 40 days. That was violated. And then comes to us, but you're ignoring all that. And Ms. McIntyre's violation of this isn't just this time, but it's been multiple times.
Mr. Evans,
throughout the year.
I'm not going to tolerate you mistreating people like you have constantly mistreated them. Anything else? Do you have anything, Mrs. McKee? I'd like to hear from you. Okay. Well, anything else on the administrator's report? I'll move to accept the administrator's report. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes, I don't know why we're accepting it.
Because I wanted in the official record that at least there were.
It is, it's in the system. That was put in there.
That there was a vote as well. So you had your comments. I'll vote yes as well.
Oh, Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
And I'll change mine to no.
I'm not surprised. You've proven my point.
No.
Yes, you have.
That I have principles?
You vote no against everything. Okay, we're now coming to the zoning commission appointments. You have a chart that was prepared by our administrator. Mr. Olson is currently, Dave Olson is currently, his term was from 1/1/20 till 12/31/24. And he has applied for, to be reappointed, as well as Roxanne Diani has expressed interest as well in this position. I'm going to make the motion that we reappoint Dave Olson to another 4-year term that will be from 1/1/25 until 12/31/29. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion regarding
Yeah,
Mr. Olson?
why are we doing this without speaking to Mrs. Diani? The proper course is to speak to the applicants, to wait. Now, I agree that my vote would be to continue with my knowledge of Mr. Olson, but I do believe that Mrs. Diani also has prior experience. So why wouldn't we give her the professional courtesy of having that discussion and then making a decision instead of going back to, at least this was sort of published to, I think, the 100 people on the email list. But that's another thing, people don't have the opportunity to serve because it's not being promoted and advertised. So I just don't understand why we're picking and choosing how we're gonna do stuff instead of, you promised, that was another one of your promises, everybody interviewed, everybody posted, everybody, part of your day one agenda that you're not following again.
Well, Mr. Evans, I'd be more than happy to explain that. First of all, we did post it, and I'm glad we had the interest that we had. You've always complained about how we post things and how we do things, but the reason that we don't go into executive session anymore is because you continue to threaten us in your emails that if we don't put cameras in our executive sessions,
For my protection.
that that's a false claim too, but you're going to record them. We already have a legal challenge with, is that we have public records requests for the recordings
You've ignored that?
you made in executive session.
You've ignored that for how many months?
What do you mean I've ignored it?
You've ignored the
Are you gonna release
the
those?
process to seek the opinion of the prosecutor has to come from the board in resolution, and you have refused. And Ms. Betzel has been out on medical, and I've pushed numerous times to get this addressed, and it's still not addressed in this meeting.
Yes, we know, and you continue to threaten. For example, you weren't going to support the extension of a contract. Our contract, you don't want to know why we're in jeopardy as far as planning and dealing with these issues that come in every single day through that door, is because Mr. Evans said he wasn't going to support the extension of our contract planner until such time as we went posted and hired a full-time planner.
No, posted.
And he said he would not support that extension after talking to the administrator unless we would put cameras into the executive sessions. There are many people that don't want to interview with this township if they know that a recording is going to be made of what is supposed to be a confidential.
It's not audio.
Well, you recorded the audio previously.
After I told you when I was
Would you
attacked,
let me finish?
and you lied that I
And
didn't tell you.
people do not want to have that posted on Facebook, whether it is a visual or audio. That's what's really going on here. So, do you have any comments regarding the motion?
No, that's why,
roll
because I
call,
didn't
please.
support it, because 314 days.
You're up for vote, sir.
See, cutting me off again. That's why I have to speak there. Yes.
Mr. Olson. Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Is that why you're shaking?
Yes.
All that.
I'm not shaking, Mr. Evans. It's constant chaos and conflict.
It's
with
constant
you
lies.
For
Mr.
over
Burkholder.
3 years now, Mr. Evans, and
Are you
it's
still
well
standing by that I
documented.
never warned you that I would record it? because you said that was a lie.
I also explained it here at the
Oh, yeah.
audience several meetings ago.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're going to move on now to the BZA appointments. Mr. Holloway, who served with distinction for many years in this community, and he pitched in when our entire Board of Zoning Appeals board resigned, and we have successfully been able to get people that are willing to volunteer and serve on that board as well. And I asked Mr. Holloway if he would consider. He led us during that transition period. I believe we've got great people on the BZA. He said he preferred not to, that he was glad to step in there and get that board reconstituted and on its feet, but he would not like to be reappointed. We have two candidates there, Mr. Johnny Cremines, who is currently serving as an alternate on that, and I appreciate the remarks he had earlier. And we also have Roxana Diani that has also expressed interest either in the zoning commission or in the BZA position as well. At this time, I'm going to make a motion to appoint Johnny Cremines, who's currently an alternate, and to move him up to the full board. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Evans. This would be a term that will be from 1/1/25 until 12/31/25. Ms. McKee, do you have anything you'd
I
like
do.
to?
So since he's moving out of the, well, I'm not saying if he does, we don't know yet. But he moves over to the board, then that tells me we have an alternate position that's going to come open?
That is
that
correct.
why- So do you think we should be moving towards to replace that position tonight as well, if that happens?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Well, should it be advertised
So, well,
for alternate? I mean, are we going to stick to the promises and the proper procedure?
well, it doesn't have to be, there's openings on the BZA, whether it's the full term or an alternate. So, yes, we will, but first we'll vote on this motion.
Okay.
So I'll call the question for Mr. Cremines.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
And then, since we have another applicant, Roxana Diani, I would move, this would be for a one term from 1/1/25 to 12/31/25. Alternates are for 1 year. And I would move that we appoint Roxana Diani to that position on the Board of Zoning Appeals to that vacancy.
So moved.
And I'll second that, and discussion on that.
Again, violation of your promises to advertise each position. The alternate was not advertised. So again, you're doing what Ms. McKee did for the 2 years prior, just whatever you want to do willy-nilly. There's no immediate need to have an alternate. And again, we haven't even spoken with this candidate. Maybe somebody else wanted to be an alternate and not a main member.
Okay,
And
well,
so why wouldn't we keep that promise that you made, and that is proper to advertise it, even if it is to the 100 people on the email list?
okay, well, let me just say, Mr. Evans, as far as the promises I made when I campaigned, since you've opened the door, the first one I made, and I felt was one of the most important, was to have civility and professionalism on this board. Now, for an entire year, I have attempted to do that. I've tried to keep my cool. I've tried to address the issues. And Mr. Evans, for 3 years, you've created chaos, attacking people, false allegations, false narratives, and I'm still going to try to.
It's called accountability.
Well,
And you
Mr.
act
Evans-
different in that room. You are not the same person in that room. And
We
it's
know.
not good.
Well, Mr. Evans, what I am thankful is you prove my point every meeting by your behavior.
No.
And so I will call the question on the motion which has been seconded for the appointment. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are trying to make progress. We are trying to get good people in those positions. We're moving it along, even though some people want to be obstructionists. But we're going to continue to focus on the projects and the best interests and the best policies of the community. And I'll have more comments under trustee comments. I'm going to entertain, is there a motion for item C? And if there is a motion, I would like that motion to be read aloud. under new business.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read that. Request, to make a motion to request for an investigation regarding the Park National Bank credential use for the time period of October 1st, 2024 through December 1st, 2024. I would like to make a motion on behalf of the board working with the fiscal officer.
I'll second that motion, and I would include the township administrator as well. As you know, that it appears from that there has been an unauthorized access, and that would be a remote access via the computer to the township's checking account and financial records with Park National Bank. I hope all my colleagues take this very seriously. I take it very seriously. I know the community has already been made aware of that. I think there's some people in the audience tonight that have come up to the podium and asked the pointed question to a singular trustee. Did they have access and authorized access? So I think we have a duty, regardless of how much is in our accounts. I know there have already been some contacts with the bank. I'm not going to say too much more right now since it's an active investigation, but I fully support this. I know there's one trustee that wants to stop this from happening, and I think that this is not retribution, but we need to get to the bottom of this. And to merely ignore this is not in the best interest of the township in any fashion. So is there any other comments?
Most definitely. What's interesting is you're not concerned whatsoever with the fiscal officer lying to staff when the employees didn't get paid on time. That's how, if I didn't check into and I did not access anything, the bank employees told me, because even they were skeptical, like, no, that doesn't happen. And I was told the fiscal officer lied to our administrator and lied to our road crew staff about why it wasn't paid. And the cover up of that and withholding of bank statements, that's my concern. Then all of a sudden there's this question about this, and I was actually told, Mr. Burkholder, that the individual that accessed this told you they accessed it. So you're pretending not to know that the former fiscal officer, when she opened the account, it logged in, and she told me she told you. Are you going to say she didn't?
No, my question is,
and so why, this is my time. So why would you have an investigation when you know, because the former fiscal officer was helping the current fiscal officer, and you know who did it, but for political show, you want to have an investigation, but you already know the answer.
No,
so that's what's funny.
We don't know the answer, Mr. Evans. Did you say that
No,
they weren't paid?
I called into the bank to the same person that deals with all their stuff at Park National, and this section is the money treasury section, and they transferred me to her, and she got back to me and told me exactly what happened and confirmed that Jackie Catuno lied to staff saying it was the bank's error why it wasn't processed, but instead it was her error in number one, not validating the confirmation, number two, not reading the email that said it didn't go through because you're over the limit, and her prior fiscal officer even told her, according to her, that there's a limit on how many transfers you can do. This is what I say. My thing is mistakes happen, but when a fiscal officer that's in charge of millions lies, there's even the email from our administrator saying, are the bank overdrafts gonna be paid? Now, luckily they weren't, because I guess it was through Park Bank and that, but we had an employee that was overdrafted $600, and I didn't see any response from the fiscal officer. And again, why would you lie? Why would you lie and say it was the bank?
Okay, we're not going to litigate this here.
Why would you lie?
No,
you didn't get a confirmation.
I didn't get the confirmation.
Mr. Evans,
And
you're
so
out of
wouldn't
order.
that mean, hey, something's wrong?
You've made some interesting revolutions here tonight, Mr. Evans, of how you had access to that bank information.
I didn't.
So
I always said I
I'm not
called
going-
them and they provided
No,
it.
that's not what
As
you
you
said.
continue shaking,
I'm going to
this
look-
is
I'm
all
going to-
political.
I'm going to look at the minutes. At previous meetings, you made some interesting statements, Mr.
My
Evans.
Lord, I
So,
never signed into
I'll
anybody's
say-
credentials.
Who did?
And you know it.
Who did?
Miss Varian said she told you.
Who logged in?
Miss Varian said she told you.
Who
Are you
logged in?
calling her a liar?
No, I'm asking you.
Because she said she would be glad it came out. Right? And why wouldn't you say that? Did you have that conversation with Miss Varian?
I'm not going to answer any of your questions.
So you don't want.
Mr. Evans, you like to twist things around. You didn't answer.
You want to
questions
investigate this, but
previously.
you want the Open Meetings Violation Act on the union contract that you were all for dealing with.
You're out of order.
No.
Roll call, please. Call the
Mr.
question.
Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
It's a circus.
Thanks to you.
No.
We do not have a resolution to erect the snow emergency signs as needed. We're trying to find that. I don't know if you know where it is, Mr. Evans, but we have had a request from a neighborhood that we put up some snow emergency signs, but there is a process for that. We've been in conversation with the road superintendent, and we've also tried to find that resolution. There is a process, and we want to make sure we follow the process so that we can enforce that in case someone parks on the street. I know there have been some public service announcements, which I appreciate, regarding not parking on the street when our crews come through and try to remove that snow. So we appreciate
Once again, we can't find past resolutions because we have 0 working files after a year of we're gonna do this. And
Well, Mr. Evans-
we don't even have a master calendar that you didn't even know that the inventory was due the second
Mr.
Monday
Evans,
of January.
are you willing to come in and work with the administrative assistant and get that set up?
I have been willing to do the procedure manual, that was blocked. I was
No.
willing to do, I was willing to do every final implementation of the diligent system. Again, you finally signed in once after 8 months.
That has nothing to do with the implementation, Mr. Evans.
How
and you
are
know
we
that.
going to implement it without participation by the board?
Okay, we'll go on to the fiscal officer report. Is there a motion regarding resolution 2025-001 to approve purchase orders?
Can I add something?
Well, let's have a motion first. So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there a motion to amend?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move to amend. Is there a second? And fiscal officer, would you please tell us
We
what
added
amendments?
4 little POs, the Lincoln County building permit so that we could get the permit for the heater. Dexter Company for a fender, postage for Holly, and record the zoning resolution for Ted.
$50, yes.
So, and I did also write those checks today, so they're in the check register, so that has changed also.
And the reason we amended that is so we could get these small purchases and these payments made on a timely basis and not wait an additional 2 weeks. So that was those changes were actually made today. And is there any further discussion or comment on the amendment?
Yeah, I have a question. Why items in here like the deputy cruiser repairs, the fuel, there's needed expenditures, and without a PO, we can't expend those. And even I don't see X-Tech. Is there on here? Are they on here?
Yeah, I believe there's a check to X-Tech.
No, there's a check, but I don't think there's a
We can use
PO.
2024 POs and it's still open. Per Chris.
I believe that all the POs close out at the end of the year, and then you have to reissue the POs in 2025.
No, you don't have to put it an expired date.
I'll call the question on the amendment, please. Roll call.
Yeah, I still have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go
Sorry
ahead.
about that.
Go ahead.
Okay, I see on here Ted Walker, we're paying him for mileage. What is that for?
He's using his own vehicle when he
To
goes
drive
out.
around the township?
Drive around
to
the
do his
township,
job?
and if he has to go over to a TRC and those
Okay.
various
All right,
miscellaneous.
just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
And he hasn't given us a mileage report in a while.
Who? He hasn't.
That hasn't. Roll call on the amendment, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
And now, any further discussion on the main motion to pass resolution 2025-001? I mean, is there any further discussion?
No.
If none, roll call, please.
This is for the payments.
Yes.
Purchase.
Yes.
Approve the purchase orders.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Make a motion to ratify the payment of the bills as shown on the payment listing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion, questions?
Yeah, I see that we've got Berker and Graydon here as the
Right.
outside counsel. Just want to make sure that there's no more activity because it is not approved. We can't have them working on stuff, which I don't think they're working on much because they're not addressing the Scannell issue as you indicated and other things that were promised that weren't so.
We understand, Mr. Evans.
I don't think the residents do.
I'm sure you'll inform them.
I will, transparency.
Roll call?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Now, there's one more thing.
Yes, go ahead.
I need to appoint a representative and an alternate for the OTARMA for 2025.
That's not due though till what?
That's in the,
March or April? Am I correct, or is there a deadline on that?
I thought it was, but it's not on this document, so yeah, I have to look into it.
Is that in that paragraph or not?
So we can wait, look at the deadline date, because it's not a date on here, so we can wait.
So we'll have to put this on the next.
Yeah, let's put that on the next agenda.
Attorney?
Any transfers?
Nope.
Anything else?
Nope.
Public comments, 2 minutes. Please come forward, state your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes to make additional comments.
Rachel Zelazny, 10141 Tollgate Road, Southwest. Johnny, congratulations. And Roxana for being the alternate. Also, though, if we're going to do the alternate, Ryan Davis would need, if he's going to be the alternate again for this year, because his position also went out December 31st. Because they're year positions, and so both of those expired. So now that Johnny is now on the board, we now only have one alternate.
That's right.
And so we need
That's right.
to do another one. So I
Well,
just
but
thought
that
I'd bring
was,
to your attention.
that was a new, apparently that only ran to, it was not a full year, but apparently it,
Alternates are calendar year.
Their calendar years. Yeah.
Per ORC. And again, this is what I mean, there's no,
No, it's fine. I just
It's
want to
fine.
make it
No,
aware
I'm
so
glad you
that
brought it up.
way we have our organization
We
meeting
can
on
take-
January 15th. So if we can get it beforehand, so that way everything is on our organization meeting and everyone can be present,
Yes,
that
we
would
can
be
do
awesome.
that.
Thank
Yep.
you.
let's put that on the next agenda,
Yeah, so
please.
that means we'll have to pull back that appointment for.
we're just holding
Thank you.
stuff and just,
It's not, it's correct.
Mr. Evans.
hold the master calendar.
Well, Mr. Evans, you come in and work and get that
I
master
tried
calendar
to and
going.
you blocked.
We're not blocking anything. Are
Yes,
you,
you
are you
have.
willing to do it now, Mr. Evans?
You
Yes
have
or no?
blocked everything,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you very much.
So are you saying
Anyone
that I
else?
can direct the secretary to
Anyone
help
else,
with these
Mr.
issues?
Evans?
Ryan Davis, 8807 Watkins Road. One thing you have not been blocked on, Mr. Evans, is posting these meetings. You have chosen, and it's choice at this point, I don't care how busy you are, since the end of October, to not post a single meeting. You do sit here with your own personal equipment and brag that you're doing it for the township, but you are choosing not to post these meetings. There's no other excuse. I don't need to make some sort of caricature about how many hours it's been. You've spent plenty of time doing other things. You could have posted any and all of these meetings. You also don't want to make them available to be clipped, because then people who will not stomach watching a 2 to 3 hour meeting of listening to you
You could
rant
download
and
them from
rave.
YouTube.
I am talking, Mr. Evans.
Yes, please.
You weren't truthful.
Mr. Evans.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Is this going to be allowed? I mean, it's not just me he does this to. This is absolutely ridiculous. If you want to come up here and have public comments ever again, I request you're not be allowed to sit back down at the next meeting, because I guarantee anyone in this room could sit in that chair and help these trustees try to make the township better. Even if they don't do it your way or don't do it right, they could do a better job. I guarantee it. And I look forward to November to somebody proving that to you, because obviously no one in this room has ever proved that to you. It is so frustrating. You can sit there and smile and wave papers and not help this township do anything better. Really. Okay, lip sync it, whatever you want to say. Post the meetings, Mr. Transparency. We're tired of there's no more excuse. You cannot come up with a single excuse to why you're not posting.
I'm sorry, my relative.
30 seconds.
And dealing with all the other stuff that
30
takes
seconds.
hours
3
and
months.
hours.
Mr. Evans, please.
Hours and hours.
Okay, who's next?
Thea Young, 9167 Taylor Road. I really just want the audience to realize what happened with the mayor being here tonight. The mayor just took $4 to $5 million out of our tax revenue that should have gone to Licking Heights High Schools, the fire department, and whatever else is on your tax bill. To pay, the sheriff, thank you, to pay for a water extension that will allow them to continue to annex land into Etna Township, because developers need water. Now, the mayor did explain the some benefits to that, and I truly believe he has a good heart about it. But also, the mayor thinks that it is okay for the schools to be shorted that tax revenue. There's only one pot, and that pot is being moved $4.4 to $5 million. You heard him say it. And I asked him pointedly, how much does Reynoldsburg have into this? 0. He also told me that the city council, after we stepped outside, that they're going to be voting yes on this, because there was only one person to show up and have an objection, which was me on December 16th. I don't have an objection to development. I like development, but I don't want to see the schools shorted and my friend here have to pay the shortfall of that in increased school levies and fire department levies.
30 seconds.
It's coming. I just want everybody to really try to sink this in. And if you have any questions about TIFs, please ask. I'll be more than happy to talk your ear off about them. Thank you very much. And I thank the board tonight, too.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm gonna make my comments because I'm always cut off in my trustee comments. Mid-sentence to adjourn. Hopefully this won't be necessary soon. But again, people are talking about why aren't we doing things? Mr. Burkholder has control of everything. We've got an administrator, but she's out sick. So Mr. Burkholder is still controlling everything. What we heard about Summit Road, that should be looked at by our legal counsel. Can they do it? Should they do it? We're responsible for part of that Summit Road, but they're talking like, oh, we're just gonna do it. Where's our input, Mr. Burkholder? You apparently don't want to do anything, like you didn't want to do anything with the water and sewer district that sold out to Jersey Township after everybody paid that debt elimination fee, building up $20 million and pushed it all up north. You said we're going to hold them accountable. Zero zip. You actually blocked it. And they went ahead and did what they're going to do. Zero oversight, zero accountability. This township is falling apart. Again, something that was on the agenda that Mr. Burkholder put on there for even the snow signs, he can't find a resolution. We don't have the working files. We don't have anything, and that's after a year of his tight control of everything. He won't let anybody do anything. And I really feel sorry for this area without proper oversight, because $4 million is what the fire department was out because of all the tips and abatements. They wouldn't need to do another levy or anything like that. And the schools too. It's being put on the back of all of you.
You have 20 seconds.
So, and nothing's being done. I'm the only one trying to hold anybody accountable, and I want them to follow the law. Mr. Davis just says, it's gotta be my way. It's the law. And Burkholder and I stopped supporting you when you lied to us and you continue to lie.
Mr. Evans, that is enough. You continue to call everybody's a liar. My goodness.
Is that not why you stopped supporting him with me when he lied to us?
How many years you want to go back? 10 or 20? Okay, anyone else? Oh, very good.
I just like to say that Etna has had a lot of growth. Okay, we have very few sheriff's deputies in the county because of cutbacks and stuff. I know that the Amazon building has sheriffs there quite often. The high school has Reynoldsburg police officers quite often. Why don't you have the township tell Amazon to give a sheriff an office in the building since they're there that often? That means that somebody will be closer than over in Newark. The fire department, it's gonna take us twice as long to get there, and there's more people being serviced by these people and not paying for it. This is why people get the way they are. Because you're asking us to pay for something that we are not benefiting from in any way. My grandkids stand at the end of the driveway and almost get hit all the time because you've got teenage drivers driving down the road texting. You know, you have speeders. We've got people, it's supposed to be 35 miles an hour at the signs in our front yard. It's been taken down. Not by choice, but you have to think about these things. We have all of these buildings here that have employees. It's traffic.
30 seconds.
Has there been a comprehensive traffic plan about where these people are going to go, what roads are going to be able to handle them? There's roads all over this township that they can't take it.
Thank you.
I just wanted to talk about the TIFs again. Mark was talking about it, and also Thea, my wife, and probably others. This is a thing, my wife and I have been married for some time. It's taken her a while, years, to be able for me to understand what a TIF is. So you hear a lot about TIFs, and the point is, like the mayor said, there were things that were voted for in Reynoldsburg that were not voted here for levies. And the point is that levies come up over and over. Things will come up on the ballot, and part of the reason for that, what we're trying to point out, is that for the development, the tax money is being taken away from those institutions that we have voted for to provide funding for out of our taxes. So we're paying those taxes, but the revenue from that is being taken from that pot and given unto development in different places, away from the schools, the sheriffs, the fire departments, and that's why these things come up. And if you know the community can't afford to vote for it, then we need to look at these TIFs and say, hey, let's bring this pot back where we voted for it to be.
Thank you.
I agree.
Anyone else? Okay. I'll take that in a minute there. Thank you. Trustee comments. Our next meeting will be January 21st at 6 p.m. Trustee comments.
Yeah, just again, like to say that nothing is being handled properly. Nothing. Through zoning, through oversight, through anything. Like I said, I don't fault our staff because we have a zoning inspector that's being directed to research solicitation legislation from other entities. We have numerous zoning violations not being addressed, and that's not his job. We're limited on resources, but his resources are being directed other places, and that's just wrong. And as far as like the comprehensive plan, we're going on our 3rd year. It should be 6 to 8 months. And the last presentation was here in June 28th, I believe, of last year, where Mr. Burkholder's proudly having staff hang up the wrong map after I repeatedly told the board that it's the wrong map. There's zero oversight, there's zero thought that goes into any of the management or leadership here. And again, with things like the Summit Road and this development, there's no being proactive. It's kind of like we're just taking it, whatever people give us, and we should have a voice for the residents, and that's being ignored. Even Lynn's Road, Skinnell, it's been, when I got elected, before I took my seat, I was meeting with them, and then I was removed by Ms. McKee, and then now nothing's being done by Mr. Burkholder with the support of Ms. McKee. People say that you could do something, but it takes 2 to do something here. One person can't do anything when the other 2 refuse, even like, again, dealing with the ORC requirement. The law requires the inventory. We're ignoring it again. I don't think we should ignore the law. I don't think we should ignore the residents. And I hear from them constantly where things aren't addressed. Even the zoning violations that were open were just summarily closed without verifying that it was addressed, and they weren't addressed. So we can't just continue to pretend like things happen. There's a lot of participation trophies going on up here of, we're doing this and we're doing, but nothing's being accomplished. And when I see emails where a month and a half ago, a business owner just made a simple inquiry and it still wasn't addressed, when we had an $80 an hour consultant, and even the administrator's not sure why it wasn't addressed, that's a failure of oversight and mismanagement there, Mr. Burkholder.
You make a lot of accusations, Mr.
It's true.
Evans. Well, look at the list of open projects now. We have 10 or 15 open projects, and these are not just simple things. Outdoor storage is one of them. It takes a tremendous amount of work and staff to do the proper research. Even on the M1, Mr. Evans, which you sponsored, it had to come back to staff. The administrator and our consultant sat over there and corrected it. I don't blame that on you, but just because you put an amendment out there, it still has to be researched and it has to be properly presented to get passed. And for example, you voted against extending the planner's contract.
Without conditions, correct.
You voted against replacing the furnace here that went out in 22.
It wasn't an emergency.
22. It wasn't an emergency. It was 22.
One quote, and
it was no. Let me finish now. And I appreciate all the comments here tonight. Yes, traffic is a major thing. We don't have a comprehensive transportation improvement plan. But for Mr. Evans to sit over here and tell you nothing's been done, that's the false narrative that he's perpetrating on this community. For example, Refugee Road, that widening, those roundabouts, that started before I got here. But that got completed, just be quiet, that got completed this year with the TID. The good question about grants. We've gotten in over $600,000 commitments for grants. We got $500,000. Well, Mrs. McKee actually worked and they got $2.6 million for Pike Street out here, but it wasn't extended far enough, so we went back this year and got another $500,000. We got $150,000 from the state capitol on the High Point Park over here, which Mr. Evans criticized me, saying, well, you didn't get any money. Well, we did. He voted for it. And let me just say something. This isn't one person up here accomplishing things. It's a team.
Right, that's right.
It does take 2 votes. But to say that you can't get anything done if you don't have 2 votes, you can. You go out and work as a singular trustee and you bring things here.
That's right.
Law enforcement, another good point. We spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for extra deputies here in the county. Mr. Evans complained, oh, we don't have any targeted enforcement and we need to come up with a better conversation and what is our plan? I invited him. I said, Mr. Evans, why don't you take that on? Look at he's worked with the contract. He's been on the board 2 years prior to me. Why don't you take that on? Nothing happens. Then he wants to attack the zoning department about something he wanted. We had a resident come in and say, hey, we've got these solicitors going around town and they're not registered. Can we get a registration here? Mr. Evans wanted us to do something about it. So it went to the zoning department. Well, I don't know who else would do it, and they actually sent you an email and said, you've got legislation or you've got some experience with it. They didn't hear back. They sent you the materials. These are the day-to-day things that are going on that are getting done. So we've brought in a lot of money. Our next thing is to apply for a grant with the Licking County Park District. The park committee has met. Has it been delayed? Yes. That 100 acres, though, is going to take some time to develop it. And it's going. In fact, we have draft minutes now from a recent meeting when the park committee went over to Infirmary Park to see the kinds of things they've done over there. Do we want to do more? Is there a lot more to do? Yes. But we need the staff. We hired an administrator, a well-qualified administrator. Unfortunately, she's off on medical. But this was after Mr. Evans drove the other administrator out. That cost us $80,000, 40 out of our coffers, 40 out of the insurance. And now he wants to talk about the water and sewer district.
It's amazing you changed.
Water and sewer district, he wants to sue them now too. How much more money are we going to have to pay out in lawsuits because of Mr. Evans' erratic and irresponsible behavior? I've been quiet and nice for a year, but I'm not going to continue to have him perpetrate a false narrative. Another question, why do they laugh about us? Why do they laugh about us? I've had people as far as Cleveland, Ohio. They laugh because of what they read on Facebook. And the constant demeaning, not only of other elected officials, but of staff and other people in the community. If he doesn't get his way, then he attacks you. So I'm going to continue to do my job and continue to focus on things. And I think we had a lot of good questions asked here tonight. Another one I want to explain. It's true. I think it's a great discussion about the TIF. Mr. Evans has actually led on that, on TIFs, why previous boards did that. But we do need to have the discussion. Where's the money going? Is it for our services? Is it going to the developer? So those are all things that are viable and important discussions to have. On the other side of that, though, a lot of people don't know, our road levy, which benefits our roads in the unincorporated area, the residents that live in the city of Reynoldsburg, but live in Etna Township also, they pay into that too. And yet that money does not go towards their roads. So I think there's a lot. I'm glad we're having these conversations so we can educate, and I think these are very healthy, and I appreciate all the comments. But we are all in this together. I like the comments that I got of we need to be critical of Reynoldsburg policies and say, hey, wait a minute, is that in our best interest? But working with our regional partners is important. But to sit up here and have Mr. Evans tell you that the sky is falling and that nothing's being done, we're building a team, a new BZA, we've got a new administrative assistant. I mean, some of those previous employees, you can be critical of them, but most of them left because of this man's behavior, abusive, harassing, gaslighting, and false narratives. So I'm going to tell it like it is, and you residents will have a choice in November. And I will work with you, Mr. Evans, and I have voted for things. You brought the M1, I voted for it. You brought the GB, which staff had to rework, which is fine. That's part of their job. And we got that passed as well. But to sit here and to say that nothing gets done, and that the people in this office and the other elected officials do nothing is not true.
No, it's like a kid that won't clean his room that you have to keep on and make anything that passes is forced. And you notice during your whole thing, I didn't move to adjourn. once, as you do constantly.
Well, Mr. Evans-
I'd let you go on and on and on, but what you just said isn't true. It's explaining away
Okay.
all the things that why didn't you post that position for the position staff we needed back in February 20th when the board authorized it? You have refused to address that where the board unanimously said, post it. Mr. Burkholder said, I'm not posting it.
No, I
But
didn't.
it's such an important position, and those are the kind of things that don't make sense. As far as the grants, I'm the one that pushed for that state grant because we missed the other grant. And again, we don't have a working calendar of when things come up.
Did you do any work on that state grant? Did you do any work on that state grant?
You know who did the work for thousands of dollars is the consultant you hired. That's the only reason that it got done.
No,
So
I met
yes,
with the state senator.
that is the reason. And believe me,
Ms. McKee.
there's
Go ahead. Yeah,
we're in trouble.
no, we're not. We
No,
just
we're
have
not.
to
We're-
work
we're- we'll
together
continue to move
and
forward.
cooperatively.
Talk to the Linz Road residents. How are they feeling?
I don't know.
Do they
Mr.
think you
Evans.
lied?
Talk to them.
They do.
Well, that's fine, Mr. Evans, that's your opinion. Do you have anything, Ms. McKee?
I just want to say, we will continue to work together as a board. We want to stay professional, and we want to make sure that the township is moving forward with some of the things and some of the projects that's happening up here. You know, we're applying for grants, we're getting grants. Things doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while. Example, the Pike Street project, that's a huge project, and it's going to take, and we won't start that till 2026. We got the money back in 2023. But just to make it clear, just like the Refugee Road project, we're very proud of that project. That widened Refugee Road. Now we're going to work with the actual warehouse district to try to get some more funds to be made whole, paid back from those JEDs in order for us to pay that money back, move some money around and start working on another project. Hopefully we can widen the Refugee Road between Etna Parkway and also up to 310. So that's a really important project that needs to happen for the township. Also, in the future of the 120 acres, we want to see maybe a complex come over there, which that would allow us to put some buildings in our township. We don't have buildings. There's places that people want to come and start a business. They want to rent space. They want to be able to have a doctor's office out here. We don't have those buildings. So we would like to see, we have the land. We have several pieces. We have the land back here, have some land over on 310 and plus 120 acres. Maybe in the future we can try to put up a complex to make that happen. So I'm looking forward to more things happening out here in Etna.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
This is fantasy. I move to adjourn.
I'll second. Roll call,
Mr.
please.
Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.